From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
Just simply is not a way to protect schools from the impact of what's happening in our community outside of our buildings, impacting what we're able to do inside of our school buildings.
Virtual learning is a reality again for Indianapolis public schools. Today on the News at Noon, a closer look at the shift for students due to the pandemic and the impact it'll have on parents for at least the next 2 months. Thanks for joining us here on this Friday on the News at Noon. I'm Lauren Casey, and Kyle Mounts is joining me this midday with a check of our forecast. And Kyle, we know it's cooler out there now, more November-like, but what can people expect as they head outside for their lunch hour?
Well, Lauren, some of us have had those clouds moving through. We had a batch of those move through downtown earlier, pretty thick and dark, but no rain associated with them. I'm glad to report the sun is shining once again in downtown, though. We've got cool temperatures, 45 degrees. It feels like 39, though, because we've got that northwest breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. There's a look at that deck of cloud cover. So not a whole lot of sunshine for you right now in Muncie, around Anderson, Alexandria, and through Kokomo, but you start to see that the sun is breaking back out. So it's a pretty narrow band of cloud cover. Temperatures for us certainly cooler back to the northwest. It's all associated with a cold front that's sliding through the area. So these temperatures in the 50s around Connorsville, that's going to get pushed down here, I think, as we go through the afternoon. Lots of sunshine, though, will return to the area. Temperature 45 degrees here at 4 o'clock. So we'll hold fairly steady there, already into the middle 30s at 8 o'clock. So we're clear and dry tonight, but those rain chances, they do start to go up late in the day on Saturday. More on that in a few minutes.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Well, families across Marion County only have a short time to get ready for another transition in their children's education. Every school in the county will be moving to virtual learning as part of the effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. Today, IPS Superintendent Alicia Johnson outlined her district's plan to teach students remotely beginning Monday, November 23rd. That means one more week in the classroom for the students, teachers, despite the rapid rise in this pandemic. But Johnson says she needed to give working parents and guardians as much time as possible to make their child care plans.
I have 3 IPS students in my household, and certainly there's going to be a balancing act that we're once again going to have to strike between them being able to successfully learn at home and me being able to successfully do my job.
Johnson says they will also work to make sure that student support sites across Marion County will continue to be available for students that may not have internet service at home or simply need a safe place to learn remotely during the school day. Here's a quick look at other school districts across Marion County and when they will begin their 100% virtual learning. It starts as soon as this coming Monday for students in Wayne Township. Washington Township students will be back home next Tuesday, while kindergarten through 6th graders at Beech Grove will go virtual next Wednesday. Beech Grove junior and high school students had already moved to virtual learning because of COVID cases at their schools. The switch back to at-home learning could cause some issues for some students and parents, and we spoke to Jessica Moore, who says that her child goes to a private school that is also going virtual soon. The order for at-home learning will continue in Marion County through at least January 15th. Moore hopes the government will step in to help families who struggle to make sure that their kids get educated, as most parents try and work through this pandemic.
Whether it's through employment, through health care, access to food, childcare, because there are a whole lot of folks who are essential workers who are still having to go to work every day and then trying to figure out what you're going to do with your kids.
Right now, there are currently 3 community learning sites open across Indianapolis where parents can bring their students for a day of free supervised e-learning. Those sites were recently extended through December 17th, and they will now likely be open into the new year. You can find locations and register at communitylearningsites.org. We also have information on our website, WRTV.com. And we told you earlier this week that Butler University has seen a spike in COVID-19 cases on campus. Now, Butler says it will restrict student life activities for the last 2 weeks of the fall semester. That registration begins immediately, and Butler called the decision difficult but necessary. Butler says it will continue with in-person classes through the end of the semester, which is November 24th. Another Central Indiana university is moving to virtual learning because of an increase in coronavirus cases. Today, Anderson University announced the suspension of in-person classes. Students there will begin learning at home beginning this coming Monday. The university says virtual learning will continue for the rest of the fall semester. Indiana University says a fraternity house has been shut down through at least next summer. IU says that Delta Upsilon violated Monroe County COVID-19 regulations when it hosted a large Halloween party. The health department says there was no physical distancing or mask wearing at the party. Health officials are still trying to determine whether the party led to a spread of coronavirus cases. The new COVID-19 numbers remain high here in Indiana. However, there was a slight drop from yesterday's record high numbers. Today, the state health department reports 5,708 new cases. The number of additional deaths with COVID-19 did go up. 50 new deaths were reported. That pushes Indiana past the 4,600 mark since the pandemic began. And for the first time in almost 2 weeks, the number of patients being treated for COVID-19 in hospitals fell just slightly here. More than 2,500 patients are still being treated statewide. New this midday, the Washington Post is reporting that more than 130 Secret Service agents who have been traveling with the president have been ordered to isolate or quarantine. The report says some of the agents have tested positive for COVID-19. Others have just had close contact with infected co-workers. The spread of the virus has now sidelined about 10% of the Secret Service core security team. The agency believes the outbreak could be linked to a series of campaign rallies held in the weeks leading up to the election. The outbreak comes as several prominent allies of the president and other White House officials have also tested positive. Next, if you're focusing more closely on your health during this pandemic, we'll show you one place that's trying to make food that's good for more and more accessible to more Hoosiers. Kyle.
A little breezy out there for us today, but it is going to get windy this weekend. We've got wind gusts over 30 miles per hour, and I'll detail when they could gust over 40 miles per hour. You're watching WRTV News at Noon.
Welcome back. As the pandemic drags on, health and wellness are top of mind for most everyone. Our own Kelsey Anderson shows us how the Indy Winter Farmers Market is working to bring more healthy food right to Hoosiers.
The Indy Winters Farmers Market has been bringing locally grown and produced food to Hoosiers for 12 years. Market manager Danielle Guerin tells me things look a lot different now amid the pandemic. They went from having 65 vendors to this year having just about 45. Guerin says they have one-way entrances and one-way exits, and they're doing everything they can to keep the community safe and healthy this winter. She tells me in the first week of the market, Hoosiers showed up for their health.
Well, in our first market, a lot of our vendors talked about they had a lot more sales this season than they had in previous seasons. So we had a lot of turnout coming in. We get around 500 people come through the doors on Saturday. So that was really great, and a lot of our vendors were really excited because, again, they said they had increased sales. Someone said even better than the summer markets they've had. So a lot of people are still like, we get these colder months, they're focusing on their health and their wellness and trying to have more local food.
Don't forget, the market also has triple match SNAP benefits, meaning if you bring in $20 with your EBT card or pandemic EBT card, they will give you an extra $20 in SNAP benefits and also another $20 in Fresh Bucks, which is Marion County's health department's program that allows you to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables.
Kelsey Anderson with that report. And the market held at the Circle City Industrial Complex is open every Saturday through April, and it opens tomorrow at 9 o'clock, starting with the first hour just for seniors and others who may be high risk. Well, they told us that they tried to vote by mail, but they couldn't. Next, WRTV Investigates takes their concerns about this year's election straight to lawmakers at the State House. And it may seem small, but it could make a big difference to a child this winter. Next, how you can help a Hoosier organization give the gift of warmth this weekend. And let's take a live look outside right now. This is our tower camera here overlooking the skies over central Indiana. You can see they're pretty clear right now and the sun is out, but it's chillier out there, so we'll check in with Kyle Mounds and get a full forecast for your weekend ahead coming up. Welcome back. State lawmakers are responding to election problems uncovered by WRTV Investigates. That includes voters never receiving their absentee ballots and others who got conflicting information. Our own Kara Kenny is holding lawmakers accountable on what they plan to do to address it.
This year's legislative session will look a lot different because of COVID-19. Improving Indiana's election laws is at the top of the list for some lawmakers.
Indianapolis Senator J.D. Ford says Indiana's election laws need a makeover, big time.
What we need is to really modernize our election laws. And that's one of the things that I'll be doing in the next session.
Ford is a member of the Senate Elections Committee. We shared with him our findings following the 2020 election. Some voters like Linda Stegner and Ellen Hodge told us they never received an absentee ballot in the mail, while other voters like Charlotte Hess were given conflicting information on whether they could change to early in-person voting if they had already requested an absentee ballot. WRTV Investigates uncovered the answer voters received depends on the county they live in.
I'm deeply concerned about that. If you are a voter in one county that's allowing it to happen and you're a voter in another county that's not allowing it, you're like, well, why is the process different? Well, I mean, it doesn't seem fair. And so I think that's where we need to step in and provide that clarification.
Nonpartisan watchdog group Common Cause Indiana agrees lawmakers need to make it clear.
It would be a good idea, I think, for the legislature to point out this is what the statute means unequivocally, so we don't have this kind of confusion created for future elections.
Ford's election modernization bill is expected to also extend hours at polling locations, allow ballot receptacles around the community, allow no excuse absentee voting where you don't need a reason to vote by mail, create a process for ballots to be tracked, much like you track a package, and allow for vote counting to start the day before the election.
There's also room for improvement. I think that there's opportunities for us to grow and do better, and I hope that that's what my voter modernization bill next session will do.
Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
Kara, thank you. It is Friday, so that means it's time for a check of our Friday forecast, and Kyle Mounts is here to lay it all out for us, Kyle.
Yeah, and stepping into the weekend here very soon. You know, we are going to have a busy weekend forecast, a series of fronts moving through central Indiana. The first one moved through this morning, and that's going to be responsible for holding our temperatures pretty steady here for the rest of the day, even though we've got sunshine back in the area. 48 degrees for you in Shelbyville right now. It's 45 in Indy and Kokomo at 43. There's that northwest breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour for us. Fairly widespread out there as we go into the early afternoon. It should taper off a little bit here as we go into the evening, but you combine it with those cool temperatures and yeah, it's getting to that time of year. We got to talk about a little bit of a wind chill factor out there. It does feel like the upper 30s around Indy and Greenfield, 39 as well in Tipton, and 34 is what it feels like for you this lunch hour in the Lafayette area. So there's a look at afternoon temperatures. Again, they're not really going to stray too far from where they are. Maybe another few degrees is about all we'll do on warming things up, and you'll get to around 52 there in Columbus. High school football this evening, you're going to need to layer up for that one for sure. Maybe take along an extra blanket because we've got temperatures already into the 30s here by 8 o'clock, and by 10, we're at 34 with partly cloudy skies. At that point, the wind should only be around 5 miles per hour. Our Saturday forecast, we start off in the upper 20s, so have shaved off a little bit from that overnight low from earlier. We'll have temperatures that climb to 37 here as we get to mid-morning and back close to that 50-degree mark for the afternoon. Notice, though, going to be more cloud cover around, and as we get later in the day, the chance for rain is going to return here in central Indiana. So here's TrueCast, 12:30 tomorrow. So about the next 24 hours, we are expecting dry weather, but we start to see a few of those showers sneaking in around Sullivan into Greene County and Bedford. That will continue to lift off to the north and east, but you notice not a whole lot of coverage. So just some isolated showers for the Saturday evening time frame. It's really Saturday night that wet weather becomes a little more widespread, possibly a couple of thunderstorms in here. We're not currently outlooked for any severe weather, but of course, if that changes, we'll let you know. Could have some gusty winds because even outside of the thunderstorms, we're going to have those wind gusts. Notice, though, as we go into early Sunday morning, it's a quick moving system, so we're not expecting a lot of rainfall, but you get under a couple thunderstorms, could have around a ½ inch, maybe a little bit more than that here by the time we get into Sunday morning. Now, we're also going to be having those winds I talked about. They will be a little breezy tomorrow, but notice tomorrow night we get those gusts over 35 miles per hour and could exceed 40 miles per hour here as we go into the late overnight hours and early Sunday Sunday, and it will stay windy throughout our Sunday here. Temperature-wise, the next few days, we've got highs in the 50s there through Sunday. Around 50 degrees on Monday. It's dry as we go into early next week, but stays cool until we get to Thursday. Then things start to warm up once again, and it looks like that may carry just beyond the 7-day forecast. Lauren?
All right, Kyle, thank you. Well, a giveaway happening tomorrow could be coming at just the right time for families preparing for winter during the pandemic. Our own Cameron Riddle shows you how one organization is helping kids stay warm and safe.
The COVID-19 pandemic has changed just about everything from the way we shop to the way we socialize, but it is not stopping grassroots organization Creating a New Society from hosting their 6th annual coat drive, but with some changes.
We are doing coats again. It is a lot different, actually.
For Nicole Glass and her team, the first change is the noticeable increase in demand for new coats. The pandemic has left many families with less money at a time when most would be preparing for winter.
There is children that need coats now more than ever. Parents losing jobs and the downsizing. So we are anticipating greater numbers this year.
The group plans to give away more than 400 coats from inside the safety of the John Bonner Center. Any family can have a coat as long as the child is present. But how can families stay safe while waiting in line at a time when COVID cases are skyrocketing? The John Bonner Center is taking a number of precautions. Temperature screenings will be taken before you ever step foot inside the door.
Normal temperature. Thank you.
Multiple sanitizing stations will be within arm's reach. Masks will be required, and social distancing will be strictly enforced.
We've put in a ton of safety precautions, like I said, to keep ourselves as well as the public safe.
While the pandemic has given us all something to worry about, Glass says keeping a child warm should never be on that list.
I'll say it again and again, no parent should have to have that worry keeping their child warm. No child should be on their way to school and have to worry about the frigid temperatures.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you. The coat drive is tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. at the John Bonner Center. The coats are free for kids 17 and under. Children who receive coats must be present. Any family that arrives can also take home free food. It's all while supplies last. Up next, an adorable story of an unlikely place that made the day of a special little boy. Plus, Kyle will have one final check of your weekend forecast. You're watching the news at noon right here on WRTV. The IU football team hopes to continue to make history with their matchup this weekend. The Hoosiers are ranked in the AP Top 10 for only the second time in the school's history. They'll try to stay unbeaten when they face Michigan State. You can watch that game live at noon tomorrow, only here on WRTV. So most 4-year-olds like to go fun places like amusement parks, maybe Chuck E. Cheese's. But for Jackson Maples of Springfield, Missouri, his happy place is the Lowe's store. Jackson has autism, and his mother told the Springfield News Leader that recently he became obsessed with Lowe's stores. They always have to go inside if they drive by one, and Jackson especially loves the appliance section. So recently, Jackson's mom asked Lowe's corporate office if they had a spare red vest that her son could have. Well, the corporate office asked the Lowe's in Springfield, but the store thought they could do a little bit more. So this past Saturday, they gave Jackson a bucket filled with Lowe's swag, and they made him an associate for the day. Oh, I bet that was the best day of his life. That's so cute.
And I'm sure as an associate, he'd be a big help.
Yes.
I bet he's got the layout of the store down.
Oh, yeah. He could probably help in the appliance section.
Yeah. Well, maybe you've got some home projects this weekend. May want to do those indoor projects because it is going to be a little windy here. We've got the chance for some rain, but that's mainly as we get into Saturday night and early Sunday. Temperatures will make their way to the lower to middle 50s Saturday and Sunday for us. As we looked at 7-day planning forecast, temperatures, they turn cool again as we get into early next week. We've got highs right around 50 degrees, although the sun will continue to shine for us. We get to Thursday, that's where things do warm up a little bit. We're around 60 for that high, and it looks like the warmth may stick around through Thanksgiving. This is the temperature outlook. Takes us all the way through the 27th with above average temperatures expected, the average high in the middle 40s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us and making WRTV your choice for news. We hope you come back tonight and join us for the news at 5. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.